Still don't understand how the heck you're supposed to use a keyboard like this. I mean, like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I can understand, like, you can use a keyboard like this, but then you can't see the screen. So then you gotta turn it around, and then you see the screen, and then you can't see the keyboard. Yeah, I don't understand. Why would anyone want to use it like this? I mean, because you can't use them at the same time, side by side. I mean, yeah, sure, you could do this, and you could flip the screen this way, you know, and use it like that. But then you got to set it down on the table, and the keyboard's flat, and the screen is further away. So the only way to get around it is to effectively, you know, put it into this mode, but then you can't get to the keyboard. And I suppose, you know, you can, you know, make it completely flat, and then you can balance it like that, in the hopes that it doesn't fall, and then no one breathes. But then that's precarious. So it's like there's no perfect position, but you can use it in like 3 different positions. So it's like multi-positional. Kind of like multi-dimensional, really, this Pixelbook. Hello, Galaxy! Chris Pirillo here, streaming live, understanding full well that you're not supposed to be able to use the keyboard when it's in, quote-unquote, tent mode. I tried sleeping under here the other night. It's not a very good tent. Keeps you unprotected, which is not a good thing here in Seattle during these winters. We have our first super chat. Thank you, Darren S. You get the badge. You get pinned here. You get your merit badge for tonight. The first person to do a super chat. Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great viewing and liking and paying attention and asking questions and possibly even joining Discord if you are so inclined. You can join Discord easily. Head over to either patreon.com/Chris Pirillo or twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo, where we normally record the podcast. Although this week has been a little slow for podcast recording for a few different reasons. We've got a lot of things going on, including setting the stage for this final review of the Pixelbook. Someone asked me, he said, wait a minute, what do you mean you're reviewing the Pixel? I don't understand what's going on. I thought you already reviewed the Pixel. That was after like what is it, a week? This has now been a little over 1 week. DJ LSB Vapes comes in with a €5 super chat. I don't know if you have a question, but I'd be happy to answer it, or a comment. I'd be happy to answer it. This video is pretty much only dedicated to the Pixelbook review. And
hey, Chris.
That's what he said.
That was his comment.
That is fine. That is a great comment. I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, I don't love the Pixelbook. I'm within 2 weeks, well within 2 weeks, like a weekend, or a little over a week now with it. It's time to pretty much bid adieu. Did I do that pretty well there with the
Adieu.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm just making sure because you're Canadian, so you do both English and French. I'm lucky to just do English. The Pixelbook has been very impressive. Like I like this device. That's the thing. It's something that I feel I could use, that I would want. It's something that I feel has a great amount of versatility, a great amount of power, a great amount of opportunity to be a productivity device. But I don't love the Pixelbook. And that could very well be because I don't have a place for it, not just because I can't find a place for it here on the desk, but I'm very well served by a traditional type of laptop, which, for whatever it's worth, I would consider the Pixelbook square within the realm of traditional laptop type of experience. The thing, though, is that despite liking what the Pixelbook can enable, what the Pixelbook can do, there is zero reasoning behind the price that Google is asking. So this is ample. This is fine. This is probably one of the better Chromebooks you can get, if only because of design alone. Like, that's the only Google logo that you see. It's very elegant. It's very well designed. I mean, it's got a great feel to it, some amount of heft, but it's still very lightweight. But it's $1,000. That's the base level. This isn't even the base level, so this is a little more than $1,000. And that is just completely disconnected from reality. I don't know what Google's thinking. I don't know what they're doing with the pricing behind this. unless they didn't want people to buy it, because I'm serious, you have money to burn if you bought this. I don't. And it's, again, not because the device itself is a bad device. So my review is really solid hardware, just over this brief period of time. The software experience is ample, but it's still kind of baking. Chrome OS continues to get better with every iteration. I ran into one particular issue that I filed as a bug report that has now been merged into another bug report. Whether or not they'll fix it, I don't know. But it's a big problem that I've seen, that I've documented in my earlier discussions around the Pixelbook. But we do have, I'm sorry, a super chat before I continue about the Pixelbook. I'm a really long-time follower and love what you do. Always take your opinions as a must, but I have to apologize for the fact that I nowadays managing a channel don't have time to watch it always. Hey, dude, very happy to have you if and when you do this. In fact, before tonight's broadcast, we did our daily live TLDR stream, the Locker Gnome Daily Report, and the other YouTube channel, youtube.com/LockerGnome. So when you can jump in live, when you can watch a pre-recorded video, I'm very happy for your support. And, you know, whatever way that you see fit to give it, even if it's something as simple as a like or a share or a comment, or even a subscription. We're this close to getting to 350,000 subscribers. But we've been this close for like 2 weeks. So I don't think we're ever going to make it. Back to the Pixelbook. The bug that I ran into, as mentioned earlier, is this weird screen color saturation flashing thing going on. And I go back to saying, well, you know, for a $200 device, I could forgive it. But for $1,000, there's no way I could justify it. Even without that issue, even without any issue with the software that I might have, I still could not come close to recommending this at $1,000. No way. $500 maybe. To me, the Chromebook looks and feels more like what I would expect from a $300 device. Now, if Google was selling this at $300, I'd have probably no reservations in A, keeping it, or B, recommending it. This to me, the recommendation comes down to not what the device is, not how the device works, not how it runs, not what it does. You know, enabling you to run Chrome OS, you know, with the Android apps, side by side, I think is done very elegantly. They do have to smooth over a few usability spots. They are well on their way. Seriously, the only reservation I have on the Pixelbook is price. It's just not worth it. And anybody who would recommend it outright doesn't factor in the cost. Like I said, this is it's for people who have money to burn. And it's not that Chrome OS could not be used necessarily as a driver. It's that it's not worth $1,000. Not even close. And by the way, I already know I'm not the only person who said this. I had to buy this. Others likely had them. They got a review unit. Google doesn't know who I am. They probably will never know who I am. So I'm probably never going to be invited to look at things. That's okay. We have a couple questions. YT chat from YouTube. If you're not keeping the Pixelbook, have you considered something like the Chromebook Pro at the lower price point? Not really. I mean, I'd like a review unit, sure, but I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out if I can sell my iPad Pro. And I mentioned that in my Pixelbook versus iPad Pro video that I did earlier this week. I'm done with the iPad Pro. I think the iPad Pro is overpriced. This is the iPad Pro 10.5 inch with the keyboard and everything. And if I could sell this today for, I think I could get like $700 for this combo and this particular configuration, I would do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat because I'm not using it. I don't want it. If given the choice between these two, I'd rather keep this if I had a choice between the two. But at $1,000, more than $1,000, I can't justify that. I just can't. Chris, how does the keyboard feel specifically for touch typing on the Pixelbook? Thank you, Bry Geek. That is a fantastic question in relation to my review. I did not have a problem typing on this keyboard, minus one issue, which I did bring up in an earlier video, and that was specifically always accidentally hitting the assistant button, which I think was just misplaced. And that was, problematic because I'm used to typing on a different kind of keyboard layout, but the keys themselves, they travel fine. The layout seems very, very comfortable. I could get used to using this system. That's not the challenge. It's the challenge of, is it worth $1,000? I can't recommend it, though I think it's a great device. This is why I'm torn. I think Google's on the right track, but they've got a massive disconnect. I think they want to, play in the big leagues, and Google's a big league player, but things just aren't ready yet. I know I got to scroll back for Discord here. F43A97, who is the king of super chats in tonight's TLDR broadcast in the other YouTube channel, says, I had a Chromebook and loved it, but if you want to get serious about anything, video editing, programming, etc., that's a no-go. Good for kids in high school. And that's where Chromebook has the market. They've got the education market nailed down, much like Apple did when I was a kid. And that was, something that I feel, very strongly about, in terms of having access to computing types of experiences. But even then, $1,000? You could get as probably as good a software experience on something that cost half as much. Maybe not designed half as well. The reason why I don't think the Samsung at this point would be on my radar in terms of purchasing and integrating is specifically because I don't like the design of their logo in how it's placed. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It's very inelegant, and I don't think Samsung's going to move to address that massive design flaw. It's a shortcoming. And I know some people say, how could you not like the design logo? Here's why. Because if you hold it upside down, it just looks weird. And then you got Samsung sitting upside down as you're using it in a tent mode or whatever the heck, or it's just there. I don't like logos staring at me unless the logo is Star Wars. To be flat out honest with you. What specifically makes it not worth $1,000? Jamar, that's a fantastic question. The fact that you can get a similar type of experience in devices that are just as capable at half the price. That. Coupled with, its use case in your life. Now, if you had $1,000 to spend and you wanted to get a device that was rock solid and speedy, I don't know if the software feels as optimized for the hardware. So that makes it not worth $1,000. The screen, also, as much as it's very responsive, I could, sit here and I could swipe on the screen. I can open up an app. It's speedy. That pulled up quickly. If I open up, let's see here, the Google app. Oh, I'm in tablet mode, so I can't move things around. It's responsive. I can actually tap and move things around, but there's this weird blur type of effect that happens, where and it may very well be the screen that they went with, but as I'm scrolling text, it just seems like it's kind of blurry, and sometimes video is very blurry. It's just not there in terms of a premium screen experience. The speakers are a little tinny. You can work around that with a third-party Chrome OS or Chrome app actually to allow you to. I don't know if you knew this was available, an audio tweaker. You can even go in and change. You can go to an equalizer. You can set an equalizer for Chrome for whatever your current tab happens to be. But that's the reason why. Those are a couple of the reasons why. Do I have a definitive list? It's an amalgamation of gotchas that, especially in relation to the price. This is, to me, maximum a $500 experience. I think under $300, they'd be giving them away. $300, I think, would be a sweet spot. Is Google going to hit that? I doubt it. I really doubt it. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, I will continue to, address questions from Discord as well as Super Chats. Yay, Canada. Dan Nagora comes in with the Super Chat. In a recent interview, Johnny Ive said software will change dramatically for the iPhone 10 this year. They said that iPhone is a vessel and they're still working on the actual software. Well, that to me is painfully obvious. I'd rather not talk about that right now, though. This is all about the Pixelbook. I have no doubt that it's a great conversation to have, potentially for TLDR, but this is really the Pixelbook review. Steve Bitto asks or says, Asus Chromebook Flip C302 with Intel Core M3, 12.5-inch touchscreen, 64 gig storage, and 4 gig RAM, $429. You see what I'm saying? So, that's the hardware spec. So then you're looking at the design. And like I said, this is the absolute best design of a Chromebook I've ever seen. I have issue with potentially the silicone or silicone wrist rests gaining dirt and debris. I'd worry about that over time. I have issue when I'm tapping on the screen when it's laying flat, kind of wobbling too much. I mean, there's a series of shortcomings with this device specific to their price point. Like, these things would be less of an issue if I knew I was spending a third as much on the same product. Like, I can't think of anybody on this planet who could accommodate this as $1,000 experience. I can't and I won't. From YouTube, you should try the Dex Station. If you ever get an S8 or Note, it basically turns your phone into a full-blown PC or computer. Not interested, but thank you for the recommendation. Wow, Chrome OS has an equalizer? No, not Chrome OS, the Chrome web browser, and that's a benefit of running on a Chrome OS or a Chromebook, is that you can use Chrome extensions. Google Chrome extensions will work. They did work. That was a huge benefit. But for $1,000? Man, if I had $1,000 to spend on a traditional laptop, touchscreen, and all this stuff, I don't know. Maybe there's so much competition and alternatives that it just seems like it's sticking out like a sore thumb, which is really sad because this could easily be a leader. It really could, but it comes down to price in terms of what you get for it in the software and where it's at right now and where it could go. No. Google needs to slash the prices on this. Will they? I doubt it. So my recommendation, much like it was with the Pixel 2 XL, is I'm sticking with the Pixel 2 XL, and I just unboxed my Google Home Mini in TLDR tonight. I got that as a bonus for getting the Pixel 2 XL. I don't think there are really any true bonuses for having the Pixelbook, apart from you have a Pixelbook and you spend $1,000 on a Chromebook. What are the key benefits for Chrome OS over Mac OS or Windows 10? There has to be something that makes it unique. I think it's primarily Google's model for software development, what the average person might need, and I say average. But here's the thing. If you're an average person, this is not in your budget. If you're an average person, this is not for you. I don't know who this is for. I can't accommodate this in terms of who is this for. I don't know. I've yet to meet the person apart from the person who got it for free. And even then, if they got it for free as a review unit, are they going to use it? Couldn't tell you. But, Mac OS is, a different type of ecosystem, a different type of, hardware, different type of support mechanisms, effectively a different class of a product. But if you're well served from a web browser, don't spend $1,000 on a Chromebook, spend $100. Because all you need is a freaking web browser, which for the most part is what a Chromebook is. Now, if you want Android apps running, side by side, there's benefit of having more power. But I think a lot of that power is going to be overkill because the software still, and maybe it's the screen that just makes it feel not as fast as I feel it should be. And not worth $1,000. Oh, Michael Tristan just joined Discord chat. That's awesome. Oh, rejoined.
Yeah, a couple of people. They're free Amazon Prime. So they had to redo it. Right.
If you join the server as a sub on Twitch for free. From your Amazon Prime connection, then you do have to manually re-up, and I believe you are warned about that. Can you install Windows on a Chromebook? Asked Tony Yoon. No, but there is a crossover beta that's happening right now, which will allow you to run certain Windows apps on Chrome OS. So you can run. I mean, I don't think every Windows program would run, but you can. Some not. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Would I want to? Hell no. Those Windows apps that run on crossover look horrible. Why would I take this potentially elegant experience right here and muddy it with a crappy looking app? Who would do that? Not me, that's for sure. I don't need the compatibility. I don't want to talk about that right now. $1,000 will become the standard benchmark for these devices due to installment options. Very few people look at the retail cost now over only the monthly cost. To me, it's too much. It's really it's an issue that hang on, I think we missed a super chat somewhere. We did. F43 N87 came in with a super chat.
Well, I'm just posting it right
Okay, well, thank you. I want to make sure we're getting the super chats in here. Michael Tristan says, "Keeping my promise, Chris." Lol. I don't keep. You're good. F43A97. There's the super chat. One of the super chats. He's actually got another one. He says you can run Linux on a Chromebook. Yeah, you can. I mean, Chrome OS is, unless I'm mistaken, feel free to correct me, is a derivation or a flavor of Linux. Android certainly is at this time. That may change with, what are they calling it now? Fuchsia, what Google's working on. Maybe a Chromebook makes more sense with a Fuchsia type of ecosystem or an experience if it can match. If the experience matches the price. And I'm just not sure. It's too much of a commodity. The Chromebook is too much of a commodity. There are too many affordable options for the Chromebook to be worth anywhere near $1,000, despite the industrial design. I'd never buy a product based upon what it looked like. Like this. I mean, like that's part of the product. What's the software experience? What's the value? And I just don't see a value. There's a disconnect between the value and where it fits into where it is that I am and where I think most people are and what they're asking for. It's not about being too expensive, period. It's about being too expensive for what it will provide. The other F43A97 super chat right there.
It's not showing up on YouTube, but I found it in the...
It showed up here on mine.
Oh, okay.
It says, there is no advantage. A regular computer can do anything the Pixelbook does and more. Literally, Chrome OS is a cheap alternative for simple tasks. Yeah, I mean, it is. And I think there's some beauty in that simplicity. I'm not slagging the simplicity. It's that value. Would you pay $1,000 for this? My answer is no. It is being returned. That, as well as the now not as functional for me Pixelbook Pen. So I mentioned this in an earlier review. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Pixelbook Pen. I like what Google enabled with the Pixelbook Pen. I just don't know if I would be a regular user of the Pixelbook Pen. And quite honestly, feel that at $100, it was an impulse buy. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. This should actually come with this. That's my feeling. It should come with this. And there should be a way to accommodate the stylus or the pen with this. And there's not. It's a disconnect. And despite being able to stand up on its own, not just the box, but the actual pen itself, it doesn't go far enough. In these two things together, maybe worth $400. Maybe.
Like, Vartan's an Apple fan.
Oh, Vartan is, yeah, he's an Apple fan. Yeah, I get that in chat. But here's the thing. I don't think the iPad's any better. This is not about the iPad. I already did that video. I think they're both overpriced in terms of the value that they certainly provide for me. I can tell you that much right now. Someone says, Chris, use the money towards an iPhone 10, 256 gig space gray. I would love to see your review, especially an emoji. SES Bomb 1. You will have your opportunity. If you want me to review the iPhone 10, that decision's in your hands. And I say that because you're going to pay for it. I didn't get a review unit. I'm not going to spend any more money. I don't have the budget for it. If you want me to review the iPhone 10, tune in, I think, Tuesday. We're going to do a live stream. You will have an opportunity to super chat and to effectively be a part of the funding for the iPhone 10. And I'll give you a review. But I can't get one outright. And this, I feel, is the best way to go. If you really want me to do it. And if it doesn't happen that day, it is never going to happen. You basically have one day to make it happen. So if you can't join us for Super Chat that day, you better hope other people back it up, because otherwise that money, that revenue goes into the kitty for the next device review, and it may not very well come from Apple. So I've mentioned that before, though, so don't say that I didn't warn anybody, but that's the thing. With the Pixelbook, it's not about Apple being better about something. It's that Google just wasn't doing well enough with this, or what they're asking for this. It seems to be a disconnect from its actual value for people. Some, I'm sure, would disagree. But I just can't. No way. I'm like, you got money to burn, fine, but that's it. This is not about Apple versus Google. This is about Google versus Google. This is about, did Google do well enough with this device? Yes, as a device outright. No, in terms of a price discrepancy for the value that you might receive. It's not about these products being too expensive. They're just too expensive for what they provide. That's what I'm saying. You got to understand that. I don't like the whole it's too expensive argument. I think that's hooey. Like, if you go with that, like, I think you never had a smartphone, because those things are expensive. Or you're not a gamer, because gaming rigs are expensive. You choose what you're going to put your budget into based upon what it provides you in terms of value. F43A97 comes in with a super chat saying, I love the Chrome OS. And I do too. I think Chrome OS is definitely continuing to evolve. Just can't recommend it as compared to Mac OS or even Windows 10 for 1K. It's kind of where I feel. If the hardware was stellar, if the screen quality on what it is that I have here matched the screen quality of what I've experienced on, let's say, a similarly priced MacBook, maybe it would be easier to swallow $1,000, but it's not. The screen quality is definitely not there. The software is just inching forward. Google is certainly trying, but I think they tried very well and had a complete price mismatch. Worth free, but not $1,000, and that's what I feel about this. Or over $1,000 if it wasn't $1,000. Maybe you guys have other questions in terms of my final wrap up or quote unquote review of the Pixelbook. I'll kind of run over a few of the components and how I felt about them even after my 1 week impressions. Very little changed. I had very few opportunities or interest or need to turn to the Pixelbook, which told me everything I needed to know. That it's not going to stay, and that's for me, or that's a great review. Because I'm not going to keep it. And the reasons I'm not keeping it is because even after trying it for, a week's time, it's a nice thing to have, but an absolute not must have. And that's, it's just not, it's not in the realm of, a possibility for an impulse buy. The components themselves, I think, work well on the whole, but certain things just didn't, as I've referred to in the past. Some other things that I have not noted tonight that I've noted earlier. The backlit keyboard, even though it doesn't really work in this mode, is kind of halfway done. Like, it doesn't work very well. It's not very well illuminated, and it just doesn't balance well. And like in terms of the brightness, and then if it's too bright in the room, you can't see the backlit keys because they're too bright, and they basically mitigate the actual keys that are being illuminated. Is the screen close to the iPad Pro in terms of quality, or is it too far off? Well, define quality. Like I said, my bigger issue has been the blurring that I saw, and it could be tied into refresh rate. So having the iPad Pro Motion certainly spoils you with 120 hertz if you can look past the nightmares of iOS, which are very, very difficult for me to do. I cannot. I'm done forgiving iOS. iOS needs rebooted like you wouldn't believe. Probably one of the reasons I won't even bother to pay attention to the Pixelbook. Some people have slagged the Pixelbook, the bezels. They don't bother me at all. They don't at all. I like the fact that the dinosaur I should be able to tap. Oh, there's no internet connection. What? I can't tap the dinosaur? I thought I could when I wasn't connected to the internet. And it's a touchscreen. It's weird. Okay. I can open up the diagnostics from this. Really neat. Okay, there we go. Swipe up and get other apps. The webcam, woefully outdated. And not that I would use it a lot, but I was kind of shocked at the lackluster quality of the webcam. I guess it's just not something that people necessarily want. The trackpad or the touchpad I felt was mostly responsive, though its responsiveness is different than that which I've been accustomed to on Mac OS. It would take some getting used to. I could certainly get used to it. I wouldn't say it's a low quality component, but the velocity was definitely disconnected for me. Is the Pixelbook Pencil a gimmick or a tool? I think it's a tool. I think it's potentially worth $1,000. You can do different things with the Pixelbook Pen that you can't do without the Pixelbook Pen. For example, let me go ahead and pull that up. So, I don't know if the brightness is going to be spot on. Let's go ahead and tap that again. Wrong menu. You can use it to capture the region, capture the entire screen, create a note, launch the assistant, which is, I think it's default action with the button. Use it as a laser pointer in case you were screencasting, or as a magnifying glass, kind of going around the screen. But in every one of those instances, my feeling is I could use my finger. Why would I need to spend $100 on this when my finger would suffice? So that to me just feels like Google just pushed for a hardware sell. And that just feels disingenuous to the software. I don't think they needed to go that far with it. And that's, again, speaks to how I just feel like it's just not, the value is not there. So that's my overarching review. Very much still feeling the same as I did about a week into it. It's going back. I'm going to be sending it off in the next couple of days. But thank you for asking, the questions that you did, about the Pixelbook. And if I missed any, I apologize. I'll reply in comments. Does the Pixelbook pen need to be charged like Apple's Pencil? No. It uses a quadruple A battery that should last you all year. It probably won't see that much usage anyway for the average person. If you know someone, here's my question. If you know someone who paid for one and is keeping it, I'd be interested in knowing why. Oh, crap. Okay, so Tony Yoon comes in. This is a good thing with a super chat. It says, couldn't you shift your tasks to the left? Do what you're doing on the MacBook to the Mac and do what you do on tablets on the MacBook. No, that's too many computers. Why would I need that many computers around here? I'm the kind of guy that doesn't want to spend a lot of time in front of computers. I have a life to live. This is not a life. This is a device. This is a gadget. I want to spend my life outside of a screen. I don't want to be, living this all day long. That's a horrible life, living like this all day long. Who wants to do that? Besides, the machine I'm using to live stream this video, I couldn't do it. I could do it with another type of PC. I couldn't do it with this system. So it's not going to find its way as a replacement, specifically for my use case. Everyone's going to be different. If I was looking for something to use in bed, it would be something that would be incredibly more lightweight than this. If I was looking to travel with something to type out, let's say Google Docs, this would be overkill. It'd be nice overkill. It would look amazing, but it would be overkill for a budget for what it was that I was actually using it for. So, that's, thank you for qualifying. And I thought we'd be answering a lot of Pixelbook questions throughout the broadcast. I think he misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand your question at all. Do what you do on your tablets on the MacBook. Or I can easily interchange them. I mean, for certain tasks. Couldn't you shift your tasks to the left? This way? I don't know what you mean, to the left. That doesn't even... I guess the only thing I can think of is just replacing a device. And this is not going to replace a device. At all. It cannot replace a device that I currently have in front of me. And like I said, it ain't about just Google. I'm willing and ready to sell my iPad Pro. I've had enough of that as well. You already have stellar machines. Why do you need 3? Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Why do I need 3? I don't. Certainly not for what they're asking. So I apologize to Google if, I've hurt your feelings in any way. I'm just being brutally honest to potentially save people $1,000 if they came here for my opinion. Thank you, everybody, though, for tuning in for this live broadcast. Everyone's looking for something different. This is what I'm looking for. I hope that Google reconsiders the price that these things typically will sell for. Someone else asked a question. I was going to start winding down, but now all the questions come out. Have you found an app that benefits from the high-end specs of the Pixelbook compared to the cheap Chromebook S? Nope. I mean, it's a solid software experience. It's probably one of the better Chrome OS software experiences I've had now that I've had that many. But then it comes down to the design of the actual product, and I just don't think the design is worth $1,000. Are you going to replace the iPad with something or just getting rid of a device? There's nothing to replace it with. I'm not going to replace it at all. It's definitely not something that needs to be replaced. Neither one of these, need to be here. I'd rather live with fewer devices to manage, personally. I don't like devices. I'm not a hardware guy. I keep saying this over and... I'm not going to slam this on the table because I got to send it back. Over and over again. I don't like hardware. Give me a solid software experience. And then even when you do, give it to me at a good value. I'm always going to be a software guy. It's why I don't do a lot of hardware reviews. You're not going to see a lot of this stuff from me. And even when I do, I'd rather do it live, if only to interact to make sure I'm answering the questions the way that you expect me to answer them. I can't do a review in 5 minutes. I've tried doing that. I just ultimately forget something or don't say something or don't say it the way that I wanted to say it. Oh, my daughter Jedi is now calling me for dinner. She said comida time. Did she say what? Oh.
There is a question.
Again? How is the experience using Android apps on the Pixelbook? See, these are... Where were you in the beginning of this broadcast? How is the experience using the Android apps on the Pixelbook? Did you feel it added any more value to the Pixelbook or another cheaper Chromebook? Yeah, I liked it. I really liked them. I don't know if it would be warranted for the cost. Again, I would spend $500 on that max. And then maybe I would keep it. I'd probably keep it at $500 and then still sell the iPad Pro to recoup the cost. But $1,000, there's over $1,000, sorry, with my configuration. And I went with the i5, the mid-range, it's definitely overkill. But I thought the Android apps ran well. They were more responsive to the touchscreen than they were with the trackpad. There's still a software disconnect. Maybe it needs another year to bake, but why would I spend $1,500 now on a product that's not fully baked. I'm not going to pay Google the privilege to use their products, or at least, you know, troubleshoot their problems. Like, this should have been finalized. This should have been ready by the time they shipped it. That's my feeling. You were typing a paper? No, don't worry about it. What were you typing the paper on? Was it a Chrome OS? Was it a Chrome OS device? Who knows? Okay, so if there are no other questions, I've said everything I wanted to say in terms of a finalized experience, my final recommendations, my final plans, my final experiences, my final expectations for the Pixelbook. I am getting called by my daughter for dinner, and that's the last thing I want to be is late for that because I have not eaten dinner. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all the support that you have given. Trust me, I'm not slagging you for being late. You gotta get your stuff done. Thank you for supporting as a patron. Patrons show up in orange here in Discord chat. Thank you for all the subs who support me on twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. Links are in the video description, of course. Thank you for everybody for paying attention, for asking questions before I have a chance to ask them, or answer them, I should say. Thank you for being involved as much as I like being involved in giving you my take. I wish I could do more device reviews from my position, but they just don't happen all that often unless I can figure out how to make them happen more easily. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for being you, so you allow me to be me. I love you. I appreciate you. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.